Netherlands. That you could probably hear at my accent. You ready?
Yeah, already. Sorry.
No problem. So, welcome everyone to another great question answer session. And today we have, the one who loves darkness and the one who loves diaries. It's the only one from Darknet Diaries. So, say hello to each other. Uh,
Hello. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for being here and giving me this opportunity. As I have already told you, I have 10 questions, and after those questions, then I have the 5 questions of shame, and then the people who are watching can ask questions too. So let's just go to the first question. If you remember, what was your first hack ever?
My first hack was on SimCity 1, the very first SimCity that came out. There was a save game file, and I was getting into the save game file to try to figure out what my money was, and change how much money I had in a save game, right? So it wasn't clean. It wasn't clearly there. It didn't like have a text file where it said this is how much money your save game has. So I opened up. I googled around. I guess Google wasn't even around yet. So I Yahooed around or Alta Vista'd around and found okay, you can use a hex editor here to examine the file content. So I used a hex editor and looked at it, and sure enough, there's nothing there. It's just hexadecimal. So I'm like, what the? So I started looking for anything that made sense, right? So at first I found that my town's name was clearly there. So I was like, okay, I named the town this. So that's one thing. Maybe after the town, the next item in the list was, I don't know, money, how much money I had. So I changed that, but that crashed the game, right? So then I went to the next value and I changed that. And I just kept going down the line, changing each hex, digit until it changed my money. And I saw that it had changed it. And so then I went back and I made a really big number there. And sure enough, I had a massive billions and billions of sim dollars or whatever in that save game. And then from there, I could build whatever sim city I wanted. So yeah, that was the first one. I was just a teenager then.
It's really amazing that you, as a teenager, just hacked the game. Like, changing values, hex editor. Yeah, it's really amazing for your first hack. It's very impressive. And did you also reached out to them about this, or you
Oh,
just
to Sim City? No, no. I don't think they cared too much if you hacked their save game. They obfuscated it, but they didn't make it impossible, right? So I don't think it was a one player game. It wasn't like I was, affecting anyone else. So I don't think they really cared.
yeah, true. As long it doesn't affect others, I think
Right.
they will not mind. Well, thank you for answering this question. Did you also went to college, or did you learn most of the things, just by watching YouTube, reading books, or playing with games?
Yeah, I did go to college. So I went to a university for a 4-year degree, and the degree was for computer engineering. And so it was kind of a general degree. So I learned, like 6 different programming languages, right?
Whoa.
Perl and PHP and Java and C and C++ as assembly and all these things. And of course, one class for each one. They didn't get me in depth of anything, and then all the different fundamentals of an operating system and all these things. So I didn't study any security at the time. It really wasn't that big of a thing at the time when I was going to university anyway. But what I think it was really helpful to me, because later on in my career I got into security, and I was really soaking up all these little things that I learned from college. It was important that I knew how logic worked all of a sudden, and it was important how I knew what's in a file from my operating system class, right? So it was really, really helpful to have that 4-year degree when I got into security. But yeah, it was just a little bit about everything.
It's really nice that you have so many programming uh, language, and yeah, how does it feel for you? Like, I can understand that if you have, for example, a Python lesson, and then 1 hour later you have suddenly a JavaScript lesson or C++. How did you feel the switching between those different kind of programming languages?
How did I feel? What?
Uh, the switch by making first you have a lesson in Python, then you have a lesson in JavaScript, then you have a lesson
Mm.
in C++. How does that feel? All those
Yeah,
different.
um, like, yeah, I was ready to build stuff in college. So I was like, okay, what can I make with this? Here's Java, right? Okay, so Java can make executable programs, and then I can just run those executables, and I can build something, right? So that was kind of fun. Like, okay, I can make this tool here or that game there or something. So I was just playing games and stuff in Java class, and the same thing with Visual Basic. I was able to make executable programs within Windows with Visual Basic, right? And that was kind of cool, and it was fun. But there were some things like assembly where I was like, where do I even apply this? Like, you can't make an executable out of this. Like, where am I ever going to use this? It didn't function in my head. Like, I had, like a keyhole in my head, and there was the key of assembly just wasn't fitting in my head at all. It just didn't click. And so places that actually I could figure out how to apply it and where to put it and how to use it in the world made a lot of sense. Like languages like PHP was really cool because I can use it to make websites with. And so that was really fun to see, what to do there. So yeah, I mean, it was fun just learning like, okay, you use this tool for this job and that tool for that job. And it was great just going across the board and learning it all.
Well, thank you for answering that question. Just one question that pops my mind right now. For those people who are watching right now and they also want to do the things you did back then, making projects or games. What do you recommend those people who want to start with, for example, Python or JavaScript? Yeah, how can they best approach this if they want to learn more, dive deeper into it?
I think Python is a great language to get started with today because it's so versatile. If you get on pretty much any Linux machine, it has Python installed by default. So you could just start running Python programs and start coding it, and you can run it right from the command line. And that's awesome. And it's real easy to get it installed in Windows as well. And you can just do so much with it. You can automate your daily tasks. You can build websites with it. You can build games with it. You can do anything with Python. It's just so versatile and can be used in so many things and can really help, make your life better as well. Just, like, oh, I need some program to run through all these files and conduct this stuff for me. Well, Python can probably do that for you, right? So it's really cool. It's a really cool language, and it's been out for a long time. And I learned Perl instead of Python when I was young, but I should have probably. I wish I learned Python because Perl kind of fell apart. It fell apart in its popularity, but Python has just grown in popularity. So it was just luck of the draw. I picked the wrong one back then.
Yeah, Perl is also nice. And those days it is not Python, but slowly I hear more people talking about Go here, Go there. Slowly Go is on the rising, but still Python is, as you said, a nice language to start with, to play around with. Thank you for answering. And let's go to the follow-up question. You told me that you went to college. If you remember the time that you have spent on college, did you also accidentally hack the system there, or accidentally hack one of your classmates, or did you do anything accidentally or purposely?
That's true. I did. There was a professor who was going over. He was so boring. He just went on and on and on and on. I was bored because I probably knew the topic, right? But the guy just was super slow. And there's other students in the class. This was a 400 level college class, and some of the other students were like, the professor would email out the assignment, and some of the other students were like, well, where did you email it? To your school's email address. Well, I've never accessed the school's email address. Can you show us how? And so in a 400 level computer programming class, they're teaching kids how to access email. And I was just so upset. And so this guy's just going on and on. He goes past the time limit on the class, right? So you can see how frustrated I am. We should be getting out. He's not letting us out. He's just talking. So he's got his projector on the screen at the front of the room. And I don't remember the command. It's like net send or something like that on a Windows machine to just send a message to another computer. And I could see which computer was his on the screen. And I was just sending like net send over and over. I don't remember the command, but it makes a little pop-up on the screen. And so there's pop-ups just coming up on his screen like crazy. Class is over, class is over, class is over. And you can see what computer is sending it, but he was just so frustrated at the pop-ups that he was just kept closing them, and he wasn't reading it. And I just kept sending him, and he was finally, he read it like, what is this? Oh, wow, yeah, we're over the time. Okay, goodbye, guys. And so, yeah, I thought that was kind of a funny hack. It wasn't quite a hack, but it was one of those, pestering annoyance things that some kids do in class.
Did he ever find out that it was you, or did you talk to
No,
him?
he didn't, because he closed the windows too fast to see what computer sent it.
Oh man, it sounds really fun to be there in the class when you did that.
Yeah, it was funny.
Well, thank you for answering. Let's go to the following. Yeah, at which age or which time did you knew, okay, I want to join the InfoSec board. This is the way that I want to go, and yeah, this is my passion.
Yeah, it was an accident that I got into InfoSec. I got my degree and I just couldn't find a job. I think I was too, I thought I was hot stuff. And I was like, oh, I don't want to have an internship somewhere. Forget that. I want an engineering degree somewhere. And nobody was willing to hire me as an engineer right out of college. They were like, we'll give you an internship, but we won't make you an engineer. And so I kept holding off, and I could just never found a job. So after many years of not doing computer work, I got a Cisco Cert, CCNA. And
Nice.
this learned, I learned networking, and my skills were fresh because I got a fresh new certification. And that got me a job in a NOC, the Network Operations Center, to monitor stuff for clients. And that, while I was in there, I got the CCNP, thinking, okay, networking is my thing now. I get it. I understand it. Let's just go down the networking path. So I thought I was going to be a network engineer because, as a NOC technician, you're just kind of telling people what to do, what the problem is, and they fix it. So you might be telling the customer, you might be telling an engineer, like, here's this problem. And so often I would tell the network engineers, like, here's the problem that I hit, and they would fix it. So, I was looking for a job as a network engineer from there. But what happened was a security engineer position opened up. And I had been in a firewall and a intrusion detection system before, but I didn't even quite know what those do. So that position opened up, and I just wanted to be an engineer so bad that I said, I'll figure it out. So I applied. I said, yeah, I want to be a security engineer. And I the first questions they asked me, I totally failed. Like, some commands in a firewall, I didn't know the first command or anything. And it was comical how bad I was at it. And I said, but you know what? I'm ready to start taking the CCNP security stuff and the CCNA security stuff, and let me just, you give me the runway, I'll take off with the plane. And so they gave me the chance. They said, okay, you're on the security team as a security engineer. So once I got there, I started going crazy with all the Cisco certs for security, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this is where I am so happy, because this isn't just learning about, like, a network engineer is just focusing on networks, but a security engineer really has to know the whole gambit of tech and understand where Windows stores passwords, and how a switch is configured for security purposes, and how Active Directory is configured for security, and everything there is, like websites and mobile devices and everything have to be secured. And so I had to know everything about tech in order to effectively do my job. And that's where I came back to feeling really happy that I got a degree, because that taught me a little bit about everything back then to give me the confidence to do really well as a security engineer. So once I got in there, I realized this is my home. This is where I have thrived. This is my favorite. I'm so glad I got a security engineer job instead of a networking engineer job.
Well, it's really a fascinating story. And do you still work as a security engineer, or did you already switch to something
Well,
else?
nope, I worked there for 10 years doing network
Whoa.
security engineering. And we eventually built a SOC and everything. And I got a lot of exposure there. And yeah, after about 10 years, I was feeling burnt out and really liked podcasts. And that's when I started my podcast, Darknet Diaries. And after about 6 months of doing the podcast and working, I decided to just take a break from work. I was just going to take a 3-month break and maybe go back to work, but I secretly really wanted to just work on my podcast the whole time. So I decided to take 3 months and really focus on my podcast, try to get it to make some money so that I can live off of that. And that's what happened. The podcast made a turnaround in that 3 months. So it was about 9 months into starting it. It was starting to make enough money just to buy some, soup to live on. It wasn't doing much, but at least it was showing me that it had potential. And yeah, now it's my full-time job is podcasting.
Well, again, really a fascinating story. And yeah, someone in the chat already replied to you that he loves your podcast and he listened to it when he's going to his boring dev job. That's what he's saying, not me. So yeah, people are really loving your podcast. Me too. And yeah, I think you definitely should keep going. And yeah, it's a great work what you do. And yeah, but we will.
Yeah, people. I'm glad that I can. People like it. It's really fun.
Yeah. I have some questions about your podcast, but save them for later. But yeah, it's really a great podcast. Yeah, definitely on my top 2, 3 list. I think for everyone here on the top 2 or 3. For the next question, yeah, you already explained it a little bit with your answer, but yeah, let me just ask it for sure. How is it to have your own podcast that is, yeah, this popular, this amazing? How does it feel? And yeah, how is it?
Yeah, so pretty much it's something that I've made creatively. And whenever you make something creatively and other people appreciate the creative work you've done, is such an amazing feeling. Like it's art in some ways, right? And it's something that it's not just you know, I'm just not just talking, right? But I'm actually crafting the words and I'm writing it and I'm putting storytelling aspects into it, and then I'm adding a whole bunch of music on top of it. So it's quite a creative process. And when somebody appreciates that, it's a high that's so clean and pure that could take me all the way to the moon, right? It's amazing. And so that it's such a great feeling. And then when I hear about the show being listened to by Apple engineers and Google engineers and people within the NSA. I made this is a funny story. I made a YouTube video recently about nation state hackers. And somebody within the NSA saw this and asked permission to actually play it in some of the training videos at the NSA. And so, yes, some of my stuff is played in training videos and training, and new recruits into the NSA have to listen to some of my stuff. And that's just so weird that my mouth is going into this mic and it's listened to. It's in the ears of people who are very influential in the world or have a lot of power or something, and it just gives me like the chills that I can have people's ears and attention for that. It's so weird and crazy to me to think that I have that. So yeah, I'm still coming to grips with it all. But it's something I've always wanted to do is be like an internet entrepreneur or online. I make money online somehow. So it's about time that I finally figured out how to do it, because I was there for the 1999.com bubble. And, if I would have just made anything then, a dictionary, and put that online, I would have been happy now, right? So I just let things pass me up so many times, and Bitcoin came and went and I missed that. And so I finally got in doing something, and I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's really great what you're doing, and I'm happy for you that you have just realized your dream by making a podcast that earns you a lot of money or at least you get to buy soup with it. So
well, it's more than soup now. So it's making as much as I was as an engineer. So You know, my dad was really worried that I quit my job, but now he's fine. He's like, oh, okay, that's fine. If you're making as much as you were before, then you're doing all
Now,
right. So I think that's very rare to make money as a podcaster. I saw someone in the chat asking about monetizing a podcast. Well, I think that's the last thing to worry about in podcast world. Like the first thing is to make something great that people appreciate and would really miss if you stopped. And that's the first thing you really need to focus on. And that's really hard. That might take years to be able to make something so great that people would just really appreciate. And then, you know, the second thing is building an audience. Like you got to have a really good sized audience before you can really monetize. But then after you have like, 20,000 downloads per episode, then you can really start looking at how to monetize effectively. Before that, you're just going to be scraping, a few dollars here and there. But after that is when it really starts making sense to monetize. So yeah, it just takes a while. But, I think a great first step is always Patreon or something like Twitch where people can subscribe and just give directly to the creator is always the best way. So put your hand out and say, hey, look, if you like this, pay me, shoot me a couple bucks. And I think that's a great way to monetize at first.
yeah, I think too, and I think your dad listens to you too. I think he's really proud of
My
you.
dad. Yeah, he listens. He's always saying something that's pretty funny about the show. Like, it's too long. You need to make it shorter. Like 15 minutes, I think you could tell this whole story. Or something
Always
like
did.
that. And it's always, yeah. Like, okay. He's like, I listened. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah, for my next question, how much time do you spend on preparing one episode? Like, do you prepare weeks, months before recording, or?
Yeah, sometimes it's years. So there was an episode, I think it was MS06067. Is that MS08067? It's one of the episodes where I talk about a bug that happened in one of Microsoft's tools. And when I first messaged that guy to be on the show, like when I first started making the show, I don't know, like years and years, and he just didn't say anything. And I messaged him again and again and again and again and again. And finally, like 2 years after I was trying to get him to come on my show, he finally said yes. And so, some shows are just like that. It just takes forever for me to get the guests to say yes. And so, yeah, sometimes it's like that. But if I have the guest and, once I get them to say yes, it's probably about a good solid 2 weeks to get a show together, because I've got to, schedule the interview, do an interview, which usually takes a couple hours, 2 hours or so. It's going to be a 1 hour show, but I edit it down. And I write in my narration in between there, and I do a lot of research and fact checking. So I call up other people to give, character testimony or fact check stuff and make sure things are correct. And then do my narration, and then I've got to edit my narration. So cut out all my ums and ahs and redos and stuff like that. And then glue it all together, assemble it, and then put in the music. So that's going to take a couple more hours. I mean, if it's an hour-long show and we're putting in music, imagine how long that takes, right? So you've got to find each song. There's probably like 15 songs per episode, and you've got to listen to the whole episode. So at the minimum, it's going to take an hour, but then you've got to like fit in the music here and duck it underneath the other audio. So that's just taking hours and hours and hours. And then you've got to listen to it when you're done to say, okay, is this where the song fit properly? And I listen to each episode probably 10 times before it's done. And yeah, for the first 40 of them, I was doing it all myself. And now I've got some helpers. So I've got 2 sound designers, a couple writers, a couple producers, some artists, and some fact checkers.
It was my next question. If you are doing this alone or with people who help you, but yeah, you answered that now.
No, yeah, I've got kind of a team, right? It's kind of a hub and spoke process where I send something out and they get it done, and then they bring it back to me, and then I give it to the next person. So, if I have somebody who, like, I'll do the interview and then I'll give it to a producer, and then they'll chop it up and write in my narration and then give it back to me, and then I'll maybe send it back to them with some notes, and then it'll come back to me, and then I'll send it to a music person who adds music, and then they'll bring it back to me, and then I'll go to a fact checker or something and say, let's really scrutinize all this and make sure it's correct. So yeah, it's kind of a hub and spoke process. It's not the best system. It's really hard to find a good creative team out there because I need somebody who is good at security, who is good at writing stories for the ear. Like it's different writing stories for the paper versus the ear. I found some people who are really great writers, but then when I try to get them to write a podcast, they just can't do it because
Yeah.
they're putting in way too many numbers. Like I can't just list a whole bunch of numbers on my show, right? I've got to pick a number and say that, because if you just hear a whole bunch of numbers in your ear, you're gonna miss it all, right? So you've got to really kind of cut it down. And the way you tell certain things, there's a certain style to do it for the ear. And there are books you learn. There's books you read and articles and stuff on how to write for the ear. So it just takes practice. And then somebody who's good at journalism, right? Fact checking and confirming and stuff. Like I found somebody who's really good at those first two things, but then they're just making up part of the story. And I'm like, you can't just make up part of the story. We have to make this work, right? So I'm just having a tough time finding somebody who's really good at all those things. And I keep trying. I keep opening up and going and finding other journalists and stuff and trying this and that. And eventually, I'll find a good team. It's all coming together.
Yeah, so perhaps if one of the viewers is an amazing reporter or researcher, go ahead and try to to work with Darknet Diaries. But do you also have sometimes a fight with Malicious Live podcast? Because I was talking to Malicious Live 1 or 2 weeks ago, and we made some jokes about you two always fighting each other for the stories.
So did you talk to Rand Levy?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, we fight about it. Well, yeah, that's my story. No, I got it first. No, they're great. I do try to make friends with everyone in the podcasting scene because the high tide rises all boats, right? So if we all are like, one of my most popular pages on my website is a page where people are asking, or if you Google other shows like Darknet Diaries, it's I've got a whole website that you can like 20 other podcasts that you can listen to. And so I'm always recommending other podcasts to people, not because they don't like my show, but because they've listened to every episode and they want more, right? And so if I can continue that relationship with them and say, yes, I want more too, and here are all the other shows that I listen to, then I think that's really cool and helpful. And there's not a fight here. We don't need to battle over, no, you can only listen to my show and no other shows. Like, it just shouldn't be that way. I think it's great that people come from their show to find mine and my show to find theirs. So twice now we've done promo swaps where I've just put a whole episode of Malicious Life in my podcast to promote their show, to help it grow. And they've done the same with mine. They've put a whole episode of my show in theirs to promote it and make my show bigger too. So yeah, we've friends. I haven't met Ran in real life. I came close once, but I just missed him by a couple minutes. But I have met their producer, Elliot, a couple times in Vegas. And we just hit it off and we're good friends.
Yeah. He also was telling me this, that you that you guys sometimes talk and you guys help each other. Yeah, I think that's really amazing that you, instead of but you say it like, it's my precious, this is my precious, you can touch my precious, that you prefer to work together and let people listen to both of you, instead of saying people, hey, I'm the best one, listen only to me, not to others. Well, thank you for answering that question. Besides podcasting, do you also have other things you do, like Hack the Box or to Hack Me, or other projects that you have right now, or
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had more time to just play around. I do like doing CTFs sometimes, just, single player, not really team events, but just, like you said, try Hack Me. Let's get some VMs going and Kali Linux tax system or whatever, and see if I can get into these boxes. And then if I can't, which I probably can't, I like to learn how people did and then follow those exact things. It's really cool. And I do tinker around with Raspberry Pis quite a bit. So I've got like 6 of those around that I set up for various things. And then I've got a rack of equipment because I kind of am a network engineer. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff there. I've got servers and firewalls and switches and stuff. So I do like playing around in there. And I, yeah, I don't get into it as much as I should. Like there's projects I wish I could get into. Recently, I was setting up my an Onion, a Toro site version of darknetdiaries.com. And that was quite a crazy experience to just go through all that and trying to figure out how Tor works and the whole, nuts and bolts there, because it's cool all in theory, but then when you start building it, you're like, wait a minute, none of this makes sense. This is ridiculous. So like one thing that really tripped me up building a Tor site was that it's fine to have HTTP. You don't need HTTPS on Tor, and I still don't quite fully understand that, but seems to be the norm.
Well, thank you for answering that question. Yeah, I think yeah, time management and yeah, the time people have. Yeah, as you said, you are really busy with your podcast. You need to do research. You need to do music, editing, thinking, and yeah, there will not be much time left to act the books or to like me. Or
if I had more time, I would probably make more stuff like write a book, write a second podcast, make a
another one.
course on security. Like I would like to teach CCNA or something like that, right? And do stuff like that. So probably I wouldn't even do more tech projects. I'd probably just make more stuff for other people, because I love this. I feel like a teacher deep down. Like I feel like that's my goal in life, is just to teach more people more things, and it's just really fulfilling to teach someone something or tell them something, and they really take it and appreciate it and use it and feel good about it or something. Like it's really fun watching people's eyes just open up to a whole new world.
And if you imagine that you have more time and yeah, you have the ability to publish your first book, how do you will call your first book?
What would the first book be?
Yeah, what title will you give the book?
Oh, I don't know the title yet, but I feel like it would be. I feel like I should do something, a Darknet Diaries book. So maybe the Darknet Diary or something. I don't know. But, it'd be like a few episodes of the show I could put in there, plus adding like a few new stories that I have never published on the show. And I think that could be a good first book. It's probably something I'll do in the next year or two.
Yeah, I think many people will buy it. It's definitely on my to watch list to keep an eye out of. Well, thank you for answering that question. Let's go to the next one. If you remember, I think you already mentioned it in one of the earlier questions, but what was your first certification that you have obtained?
My first cert was CCNA. I got a degree before that, so I got a bachelor's degree as a bachelor's degree in computer engineering.
And what was the last certification that you've obtained?
Well, I'll quickly say all the certs that I did obtain. So it's and I'll try to do it in the order I got. So it's CCNA, CCNP networking, CCNA security, CCNP security. So those are all Cisco certs. I think those are all the Cisco certs I got. Then I got Checkpoint certified, Juniper certified the first two. So I think it's GNCIA and GNCIP. I can't remember exactly. And then those are two security certs for Juniper. And then I got certified ethical hacker, CEH, and I think that's all of them. Blue Coat certified? Man, I got Blue Coat certified, but I never used it.
Well, it can't hurt to have it, right?
Yeah, it can't hurt.
Are you planning to do perhaps any offensive security certification, maybe the new OSAP or OSCP perhaps, or any other certification on your list?
Yeah, I was studying for CISSP at the end there, and I never quite got it. I took a practice test, and I really did bad on it, so I just kind of gave up on that. But yeah, I kind of wanted to switch to offensive. I just was never in a position to use the offensive certs for anything. I was on the defense team, right? So I needed to know more of the defending stuff. And yeah, so I never got into really the offensive
Yeah.
stuff. I got the CEH just kind of as a dare and to scare some of my other teammates because they were really worried that I knew all these hacker skills, and they were like, "Uh-oh, what do I do with this?" And I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, there's Jack. Jack the Ripper. Oh no, guys, stop him. No,
Yeah,
but
it's fun.
thank you for answering that question. Now I am thinking of it. You have a lot of certifications for the red team side, but there aren't much certifications for blue team, right? There's no exam like you need to defend 3 machines for 24 hours or something, or I don't know if it's even possible to make that, but
Well, I know that the SANS training has a lot of training on defensive, right? So there's threat hunting, there's intel I can't think of them all off the top, but they don't
yeah,
have really certs behind it, but it's just as good as if it were you had a cert. I mean, those SANS training courses are really good. And I've been to cert training, and it's pretty much 5 days or a week or 2 weeks of here's what we're going to learn, and then there's just a test at the end. So those SANS courses are very similar, where you spend a week in their class and fantastic stuff. There's just no test at the end, so it's just as good. So there's some really good stuff out there that SANS teaches on defense.
yes, Sense has really amazing courses. The only downside for many of us is probably the 7K cost that it.
Yeah, the cost, and I think they I mean, it's like $5,000 for a course there, and I think they put that out because they realize businesses are typically going to pay for this, right? So if
Yeah,
you have a
exactly.
big corporation, that's not a big deal for them. They're trying to find ways to spend training dollars anyway, so it works out. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of where they figure out the price point for it, I bet.
yeah. I was uh, in one of my first episodes with question and answer. I was talking with someone from Sense, and he was mentioning that it is possible for people to sign up as a volunteer, so you can then give lessons and be there in the class to watch out what people doing, see if they are not cheating or something. And in return, if you do that, you get a discount for half of the price. So you only pay half of the price if you sign up as volunteer. So
Mm,
yeah, I think that's a nice idea for people who want to do sense, but yeah, don't have 7K at their bank account or are
yeah.
still studying. Uh, yeah, thank you for answering that question. Let's go to the following one. Uh, besides hacking, making podcasts, do you also have other hobbies that you do, like going to the gym, walking, bicycle, perhaps with your girl, going outside, something, nature? I don't know.
Yeah, I recommend, and I try to follow this too, is to have three hobbies: one that makes you healthier, one that makes you smarter, and one that brings you money. Those, I think that's a cool combination of hobbies. So I was going to the gym before lockdown, and I was trying to go swimming. I was trying to do laps, and I really hate swimming. I'm just not good at swimming, and I hate doing it. So I was like, let's see if I can like get over that feel, like get comfortable feeling uncomfortable and try. And yeah, I was getting pretty good at it, but then the pool closed. So then I went running, and so now I've been running every other day, and I've made. I'm a year ago I didn't even know how to run a quarter of a mile, like it was horrible, and so now I'm able to run 5K, 3 miles, and
Yeah,
I
I saw it on your Twitter. Nice.
yeah, and that's crazy. That's so crazy to think that I made such progress in 1 year. So that, and then I've also been playing guitar, so I kind of picked that up during the pandemic. I just know pretty much all the chords at this point. I don't know how to do much more than that. So I got a couple songs that I know and I'm learning. That's fun because I put a lot of music in my podcast. So, it kind of crosses over a little bit. And I've been playing some video games like a chess. I've been playing a lot of chess these days. Like in the last month, I guess it was Queen's Gambit that got me into it. I hate to say it because I loved chess before that, and it was just kind of one of those. All right, I'll fire up chess.com and play it because I feel like I could doom scroll, and like if I'm in the mood of like, oh, I'm feeling lazy, I don't want to do anything, and you just grab your phone and you start doom scrolling on Twitter or Reddit or whatever, you're really not going to get anything out of that. It's just going to be like a waste of time. And so you could play a video game, but that's the same waste of time. I mean, it's fun, but it's just as fun as anything. But I feel like chess, it's a game, but there's some skill in it. Like you're using your brain and it's a skill that you can transfer somehow. Like you can have it all your life. Like it's not a video game that's like some stupid game that you're not going to play in 5 years and not remember even ever playing it in 5 years. But it's one of those that's like, okay, yeah, we can sit down with, half the world probably knows chess or something. I don't know, but the statistic is, but sit down with a lot of people and play chess, and it's fun to have this skill. And I don't know, I feel it feels more important than a video game, but it is just a video game. It's a video game on my phone. Like it's weird.
Well, you can always try the Chinese variant of chess. Go is called, right? Go or something.
Yeah.
It's even more difficult than chess. It has really a lot of possibilities that you can do with one. How do you call it in Go? Walker, Bayern, I don't know. But you get my point. Yeah, chess is really amazing. I have a chess set at my home, a physical one, not a physical of a game. But always when I try to find people who want to play chess with me, everybody says, chess is boring. I don't want to do it. Then I think, okay, nice. I have nobody to play chess with, so yeah. But it's nice. Yeah. And it's also nice that you go to the gym, swimming and walking. It's really nice to also look at your health as you sit behind a computer for most of the day. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my theory on life is that I think we're all here to try to figure out how to be healthy, wealthy, and happy, healthy, and wealthy. Yeah, those are the three things. So, you figure out how to do that in your life. And some people prioritize, like I've seen millionaires that just are so unhealthy. Yeah. And I mean, in their relationships, in their physical health, like everything about them is so unhealthy except for their bank account. And I'm just like, how did you put all that prioritization in this one thing, but completely abandon all the others? Like you can't buy that other stuff. You can't get over the pain or the miserableness of the rest of your life and just put all that aside and just look at your bank account all day. Like it's like, how do you wake up every day in this world of feeling miserable? But you can just keep going to make money and not try to fix the stuff that you're miserable on. So, yeah, it's I think people sometimes they don't like that. It's the goal isn't to be wealthy. Well, I think what I'm saying there is to, get to a point where you're not stressed out about trying to make your basic needs like food and warmth and medicine and stuff. Like just get to that point at least. Like I think everyone's trying to, make enough to live on. And not be stressed out about where it's going to be tomorrow. So that's what I mean by wealthy.
Yeah, there are too much people indeed who only think about money. But yeah, I always tell people in my hackers community that you can work 24 hours, 7 days a week. But yeah, you have a lot of money, but your health is also important. Or as you said, your health should be important to you because, if you aren't healthy, then you will probably die very soon or late. And
even the happy part is sometimes hard to figure out because if you're happy, you're going to start caring less about some of your goals, right? You're like, well, why should I try to get that? I'm happy where I am, right? And if my goal is to interview the top 100 hackers in the world and I've knocked off 50 off the list, just theoretical goal, then I can see my happiness level going down, not up, because I'm completing my goal. By the time it's done, I won't have anything left to look forward to, right? And so it's a weird balance of trying to find that happiness in life of like, okay, you set the goals, and if you hit those goals, you'll be happy. But then when you hit those goals, you
Yeah,
you
you have no
don't
goals.
have anything. Yeah, so it's really the journey, and it's not really the destination. You really have to get yourself on a daily journey of happiness, and be happy in the journey and be happy in that part of it, and not look forward to like at the end, which is such a weird thing to try to figure out in life.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you. People should have a goal, because if people have no goal, then yeah, they feel bored, and yeah, they think, well, I have nothing to do, so yeah, well, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Bye. uh, I also see in the chat that people are mentioning that we need to play chess.
All right, let's do it.
I'm really not good at chess.
We could do it right on Twitch, can't we? I don't have a Twitch account, funny enough.
Can you play chess on Twitch? I don't know.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, you can stream it, and then we can play on chess.com.
Yeah, well, yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, why not? Perhaps if you have time after the talk, we can do it. Please, guys, be easy with me. I am not good in chess. Probably not as good as Darknet Diaries here. Well,
I'll be able to see I'll be able to see what's on your side if you're streaming it. That's cheating, right?
yeah, exactly. He's cheating, so I get bonus points, right? Yeah, let's go to the following question. Yeah, how do you manage your time at this moment? By switching, making podcast, doing walking, playing guitar. Yeah, how do you manage your time?
Yeah, I'm really a like an on, like always on kind of personality. Like I get frustrated if I don't feel accomplished in like so many hours of the day, like, and so I'm just like attacking stuff like crazy. So yeah, I just look at like what are some of the, I have a to-do list, and I just look at that and say, okay, I've got to knock these things off. I got to just rip through these things, and I don't know how I keep such high energy on this to-do list, because I've been going at it like so hard for 3 years now on the podcast, because the podcast takes all of my time. But yeah, I'll work real hard to get ahead to be able to do my runs and stuff. But I realize it's the opposite, right? If I can spend like a few hours in the morning and just getting my morning routine set and do my run and get my exercise in and maybe even enjoy like a couple things, then I'll have a more productive day than just waking up and trying to like go from first minute. So
yeah, exactly.
At the computer.
Yeah, exactly. I always ask this question to everyone who I talk with at my show. How much sleep do you have?
Yeah, I mean, I get an 8 hours sleep. I'm a good sleeper. If you were going to ask me what am I world class at something, or my family, I would say we're world class sleepers. We do pretty good, or at least I am. Maybe not my family, but I do sleep pretty well. So 8 hours. I have a goal of 7, but typically it's 8.
Well, you are the first person that I really talking right now that says I sleep 8 hours. Most people that I talk with saying, yeah, I sleep 4 hours, 5 hours, or 3 hours. But yeah, you are the first person that, has a good health, a good sleep rhythm, good time management. So yeah, you're doing a great job overall. So yeah, keep it going.
I think I think it takes a lot of self-discipline. I think the sleep is lucky. I don't know. I see people who are in my same situation. They're very healthy, very active. They do all the things that you can do. They eat properly, and they can't sleep well. And so I'm just like, wait, I don't know what I do to be able to sleep well, but yeah, it might just be a luck of the draw on the sleep. But yeah, I do have a high level of self-discipline that I stay aligned with.
I think it's really good what you do. I also try to sleep 8 hours a day and have a strict schedule that I follow. Yeah, I think it's a nice way to see where you are, how healthy you are, and where you can perhaps improve a little bit or not. But yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, thank you for answering that question. Let's go to the following one, the last one. Then we dive to the 5 questions of shame, and then the people can ask. Uh, yeah, for those people who are watching right now and want to begin with hacking or pen testing or in the info security, what advice would you give them? How can they start, or where can they start?
I like some of these online um, hacking places like Try Hack Me, Pico CTF, hacker101.com. I think that's made by HackerOne. She shows you how to do bug bounties and stuff. And yeah, I mean, these are great for just getting your feet wet, learning how to do things. Like you can download vulnerable stuff, or Over the Wire is another good one. And so yeah, you try some of this stuff, and you learn like how to hack some of this stuff. And yeah, I think that's good. I really need to make like a little, I don't know, website or a course or something that really rounds up some of the best places, because I can't recommend a single one, but I can recommend a whole bunch, right? So yeah, I just look at. I mean, Google the question: how do you get started at hacking, and you'll find all kinds of articles that'll get you started there.
Yeah, I think there are plenty of articles out there that can indeed help people with hacking. But it's always nice to. I always ask people who are here in the show, yeah, what their approach will be if they start with hacking right now. But yeah, thank you for answering that question. And yeah, let's dive to the 5 questions of shame, the questions that everybody waits for. So there's no good or wrong. So let's start. Which hero will you be? You can choose any hero, a celebrity, a science fiction hero, a comic book, movies, games. Yeah, which hero would you be?
Mm. I have a hard time with this one. I have a hard time finding, at least in like current pop culture, like a good role model of someone who, is connected with their emotions and has their own goals and needs, but then is able to help others. I am a helper, so it's difficult to find someone. I've always been fascinated with scientists, so I guess maybe Richard Feynman or Albert Einstein or something like that, just because it's fun to imagine. Um, if I was, I don't know, it's fun to imagine people. It's fun to imagine if I was somebody who came up with a new theory or a new breakthrough and stuff like that. And so I just kind of embody these people sometimes on thinkers, scientists, and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess maybe Feynman.
Well, thank you for answering that question. Uh, yeah, I hope you don't become the Hulk with your crazy experiments. But yeah, let's go to the following question. If you can choose 2 parents, which 2 parents would you choose? It can be again real people, celebrities perhaps,
Mm.
or it can be science fiction persons.
I've heard this question so many times and I never figured it out for myself. Two parents. I think I would want. Uh, Gosh, I don't even know. I don't even know. It's so weird, right? Because it's so weird because are brought up is such an influential thing to you, right? It's all about luck. And I wasn't born, I didn't like it. There's a lot of luck that I had in my life, but it all comes down to who my parents were, right? I never had that choice of being born in the city I was born in with the parents I was born in, and that really is what shaped who I became, right? And so there's so much luck involved with who's your parents.
Take your time.
um yeah, I mean, you're telling me to take my time. You can tell I'm stalling.
Well, perhaps you can choose one of the answers in the chat. I see someone say fairly odd parents. That's
Fairly Odd
probably
Parents, Ren and Stimpy.
yeah.
Yeah, those are funny ones. Yeah, I mean, it would be fun to like it is all it's so different because if when you're a teenager, you're like you want parents that are cool and let you go out and do stuff, but When you're older, you wish you had parents that were more, disciplined on you or something and taught you like skills that you didn't learn. I'm gonna take the dumb answer and just say my own parents were the best because I like where I am and I don't want to change it.
Well, if they are listening or watching right now, I think that's the best choice that you can say before they are marching into your room or house. Hey, what did you say? You didn't mention my name. Well, let's go to the third question. What will be your weapon of choice? It can be again real weapons or science fiction weapons.
A weapon of choice, I think, would be teleportation. I don't know how that's a weapon, but I feel like it would be something that I like the idea of sneaking in something and grabbing it and getting out, right? So it's a weird weapon, but I see it as a weapon because
I think you can use it as a weapon. Like if you grab someone, teleport in the sky very high, and then just smash him down to the earth, and you teleport back to the ground and watch him fall back.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what a weapon is for, it's to force your opinion on someone or to defend yourself, right? So you're forcing someone to do something. Well, what are you forcing them? You're forcing them to give you the password of something? Okay, well, what if I could just teleport right over their shoulder and see what their password is and then teleport away? I think I can force someone, to give me that, right? So that could be something. And then the other thing is a defense mechanism. I can just teleport away from any weapon that's coming my way.
If you are fast enough.
Yeah, or if I'm in a dangerous situation, I could just get out of there real quick. I don't have to use a weapon to get out. I could just escape. So I guess I'm a person who runs away.
Well, I think it's a safe answer. Yeah. Well, let's go to the following question. In a game of scissor, paper, and rock, what would be your first choice?
I like scissors.
So you are really one of a kind. Most people choose rock, but you are choosing scissor. Yeah. Welcome to the Scissor Club.
All right.
Okay, to the final question. You are the first person on Earth that can register a hacker name online on the internet. Which hacker name would you choose? Every
Karate
option
Skid.
is available. Which one?
Right, I'll take Karate Skid.
Karate Skid. It sounds as a fair name. Yeah, well, those were the 5 questions of shame, so you have survived them. And now let's jump to the people. So if you are watching or listening to this and have a question, shoot it. Now is your time to ask questions. I can't see all questions in the past because...
Yeah, somebody's going to ask me, what's wrong with your camera, man? I don't have my face on here, so this is what you get.
I already
messed
saw
it up on purpose. I crossed the wires.
Oh, here.
Wired the camera.
Yeah, I have the first 2 questions popping up. How many hours does it take for each episode to create?
Like 40 hours. I think we covered this already earlier, but yeah, it takes a while to get it all together. Probably, I would say 40 hours of people hours.
Well, thank you for answering that question. I think this person came later into the show and probably has not heard this question before.
No problem, chat.
Let's go to the following question. How hard was it to get a hold of the interviewees during the early days of the podcast?
Good question. So in the early days, I had listened to a ton of podcasts and listened to a ton of talks at conferences, right? So there's tons of security conferences that are broadcasted on YouTube or replayed on YouTube. So you could just listen to tons and tons of talks. There's thousands probably of talks that are from security conferences. So I was actually trying to pull the wallpaper off in one of the rooms here, and I just listened to like probably 100. It took forever to get the wallpaper off the wall. And so I probably listened to like 100 talks. And so I hadn't thought of the podcast yet, but it really helped me understand like, wow, there's all these crazy talks of all these different people and stuff like this. So when I first started, I just went through all the talks that I thought were really fascinating at DEF CON and B-sides mostly, and found people that I was like, you please, I mean, you already gave your talk on stage. So just I'd like to interview you and do it again. So that's how I kind of found, a couple things. That's how I found Manfred and Jason Street and, some other early ones. But yeah, I have just doing a lot of research, right? So who's finding 0 days, who's finding vulnerabilities, who's the top reporter on bug track or whatever it is, like, and just knock on their shoulder and say, hey, I see you've submitted a ton of vulnerabilities here. Is there any way we can talk about that? And, people either said yes. I tapped on a lot of shoulders and I got a lot of no responses, right? So not everyone was interested. Probably 1 out of 10 said yes.
Whoa. Well, thank you for answering the question. A lot of questions are popping in, so I am trying to do them, most of them, but can't promise to do all of them. For the next question, who is your favorite hacker?
My favorite hacker, I think I'm really fascinated with Tavis O, and he's Tavis Ormandy. It's always fascinating to me because he works on Google Project Zero at Google, and his job is to just find vulnerabilities and things and then report them to the company and then submit it publicly if they don't fix it. So it's just amazing how many things this guy finds, and it's just crazy.
Well, thank you for answering that question. Let's go to the next one. Someone is asking you, how did you add that filter that you have right now on the webcam?
It's Snapchat. It's called Snap Camera, and you can download an app on your computer called Snap Camera, and you have thousands of filters you can use. We got spaghetti.
We have talking spaghetti now, guys. I'm scared. I can't eat any more spaghetti now. Now I'm thinking it's Jack who I'm eating. Well, thank you for answering that question and showing the spaghetti. Let's go to the next question. Who does the artwork of Darknet Diaries?
So I make the artwork, and when I work with artists, I find 2 things. Either they're really good at coming up with ideas or they're really good at executing the idea. But I really have a tough time finding somebody who's good at coming up with ideas and then making that idea look good. And so I pretty much come up with all the ideas. I have come up with all the ideas for all the artwork on the website. And then I give it to an artist who's really good at drawing and making the ideas and doing that. So this guy I found on 99 Designs, I don't know much about him. I don't even know if it's a guy. And so I just keep giving them stuff and they just keep sending it back. They're super fast and they do great work. So so what I'll do is I'll draw on like a napkin or something. I'll be like, oh, I got this idea and this is what it's supposed to look like. And they'll try their best and they do pretty good usually.
Well, thank you for answering that question, Mr. Spaghetti. And okay, let's go to the next one. Has Darknet Diaries got you into the trouble?
Has gotten in trouble? I don't think so. I mean, not really. I've got some complaints from people who think I didn't say the right thing when it came to representing certain people. But it's so far somehow gotten clear. I mean, I've got a lawyer, so I talk to my lawyer sometimes and clear things before I do stuff
that sounds fair.
Maybe on the border, right?
Yeah, exactly. You need to be careful with the stories, of course. Someone is asking, any story you have not been able to tell yet because lack of resources or information?
Oh yeah, there's plenty of stories. I mean, I've got all kinds of things where the people just don't want to talk, right? So I've interviewed NSA agents and I've interviewed Unit 8200 people from Israel's NSA, but I can't find any other country in the world who wants to talk about their information intelligence gathering, right? So yeah, let's talk about any of those countries, right? So Russia's intelligence, China's intelligence, North Korea's intelligence, Iran's intelligence. Those would be great to interview anybody from there, but that's highly unlikely. I mean, Canada won't even talk, or UK, or Netherlands. And so we could talk about Netherlands, right? Like, it's really crazy. I find this fascinating. I was just thinking about this yesterday. Is I find it fascinating that there's the high-tech crimes unit in Netherlands is like top notch at investigating crimes, like maybe better than any other country is from what I can tell at
Thank you.
cybercrime. They're really good. Like, they know their stuff inside and out. And but where is the intelligence bureau of Netherlands, and how come they've been under the radar this entire time of not being as top notch as some of these other places like GCHQ or NSA or something? Like, I've never heard. I don't even know what they're called. I don't know anything about the intelligence community of Netherlands. So it'd be fun to just explore all the other countries.
Yeah, the Netherlands have some groups, and I know some of them, but well, thank you for saying that we the Netherlands have a good resources, and that we are good in what we do. And thank you for answering that question, of course. Let's go to the following. What do you love about your job?
I mean, my job is podcasting, so I love interacting with the audience, listening to people, talking with them. I get tons of emails, tons of DMs, tons of questions and chats like this. So it's just great. It's fun. It's really fun.
Well, thank you for that answer. The next question. Have you ever been hacked? So not you hacked someone, but you got hacked.
Yeah, so before I made this podcast, I was making some YouTube videos, and some of them had me doing funny things on screen, right? So I was doing crazy things. I was making solar panels on my roof. I was making water filtration systems. I was trying to walk on water with some styrofoam shoes. And some fan was just really into it and wanted to know more about me. So I guess they messaged me on YouTube, and I didn't respond. And so he's like, I'm gonna talk to this guy. I'm gonna call him up. So he looked at where I was in the world, through my videos, and geolocated, okay, there's that landmark there. I can see that in the background, and this must be where his house is, and figured out where my house was, and then looked at county records to see what my name was, and looked that up, and then figured out, okay, that's his phone number, and then kept going and found out where I worked, and then emailed me at work and told me, oh, I'm such a fan of your YouTube channel. And I was like, what the heck? How did you find my work email address? And he told me how he did it all. And I was like, that is insane. And so ever since then, I've really pulled back on what's posted for me publicly and what I allow to be seen and stuff like that.
Yeah, it sounds fair. Well, thank you for answering the question. Let's go to the following one. Have you ever faced any problems, issues with an episode of Darknet Diaries, and because of that, it has taken down?
Yeah, there was one where there was the one where the girl was in the hospital and a hacker was hacking the hospital. And first, I was interviewing somebody who was on the incident response team at the hospital, and they gave me the whole story. It was great. I mean, it was from the insider perspective. It was fantastic. But then a couple months after I aired it, the person was going to court. So they had appealed their case and they were going to court. And so the incident response team was going to be in the courtroom, and they didn't want their story on the podcast. So I respectfully took it down. I mean, I have the rights, and so I could have argued with it, but I said, no, I don't want to be the bad guy here. So I took it down and then re-recorded it without them, and just took their information and turned it into as if I interviewed someone over the phone and just got the story and then rewrote it myself. So it's not as good. I really wish I had that incident responder, but yeah, I had to take that out, and it took me a while to get it back.
Well, yeah, it's a nice thing for you to do, of course, to put it off. But yeah, at least you have the phone talk, so yeah, people can at least listen to that. Well, thank you for answering that question. Let's go to the next one. 2 more questions I see, so we are coming to an end. Have you ever regretted an episode of Darknet Diaries? Regretted a portrayal or changed your mind on a stance because as you said with the hospital case, you was thinking, this is not the right time to publish this. Let's just
Well,
put it off.
yeah, not entirely, but there was whenever I do an episode, I really want to try to balance both sides. If it's clearly like one guy was wrong or one person was really wrong, I want to try to understand their side and kind of balance it out. And I felt like in that courthouse episode where the two pen testers got arrested at the courthouse, I really painted the sheriff really negatively in that episode, and everyone came out of it really pissed off at the sheriff of that town. And in fact, I don't know if it was because of my episode or not, but I did hear that sheriff got a ton of negative phone calls, and where people were just like yelling at him over the phone. And I was like, wait, I hope I didn't cause that. That's really ugly. And so since then, I've actually listened to the sheriff talk, and I updated that episode to actually give his, he gave a talk at some local conference about that particular topic. And so I added that into the podcast at the end, like, all right, let's hear his side a little bit so that we can get this balanced. And I mean, he comes on saying, look, I'm totally for you guys. This is a great thing you're doing, which is totally different than what it seems like when I didn't have him, his voice, because he was, it sounded like he didn't like pen testers and he didn't understand the whole cybersecurity aspect of it. And that's kind of how I painted it. But then he came on, I let him talk. I didn't interview him, but he gave a talk. So I added his voice, and I think that really helped balance it a little better and not hate the sheriff as much. Because, I mean, he does have people responding to an alarm at 2 a.m. driving 100 miles an hour down the freeway, as with officers and stuff. And so he was really upset that, he wasn't clued in on this and all these other things. And you get his perspective of it, and it really helps you understand. And I think that's kind of the whole point of my show is at first you might judge someone like, oh, this hacker got into this thing. That's terrible what they did. But then when we listen in and hear their side of the story, then it's like, oh yeah, this is a lot more complex than I realized. Maybe they weren't so wrong. And it changes your opinion, right? And so I really like changing people's opinion on things just to help them understand things better.
Well, thank you for answering that question. I think that's what your podcast to me always did, indeed. Hearing the stories of two sides instead only one. Let's go to the next question. You are becoming popular. Have you hackers, are they coming to you, or do you still need to search for them?
Yeah, I've had like, I think 4 episodes now of people that came to me. So there's the Operation Glowing Symphony. That was an NSA agent who found me at DEF CON and kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, psst, have you ever heard of the NSA? And that's how we got started, and we're still good friends. And so it's interesting that he was able to share with me such a private story of what the NSA did. I mean, he told me the whole story on that episode of like, this is what happened. And that had to get approved by the high general of the NSA. Like, it was really an interesting experience to get approvals from the NSA to publish it. But that was one. And then there were 3 others, which were criminals who just got out of prison and said, I don't know who you are, but I've been told I need to talk to you about my story. And I'm like, well, I don't know who you are. Can you share anything about it? And then, I look up their public records, their court cases and stuff. And I'm like, holy cow, this is crazy. So Xbox Underground came to me in that way. Cam the Carter came to me in that way, and a couple others. I can't remember what else. Maybe one or 2 more. Well, yeah, I'm getting into that space where people do come to me with stuff. It's hard for me to trust people because I get pitches every day, and I'm just like, that sound like for most of them are just not even close to what I want. That's not even close, because it's a CEO saying, I want to talk about the current cyber, people getting scammed because of coronavirus. I'm like, did you get scammed? No. Well, did you help somebody who was scammed? Like, were you an incident responder of a scam? No. I'm just going to talk about as an expert. I want to share my expert opinion. Like, no, I don't want anything close to that on my show. Get out of here. So, I gotta throw a lot of pitches away. And it's hard. I mean, I've got a lot of pitches I've never even read, which is really frustrating because there's probably some really good ones in there, and I just don't get a chance to go through them all.
Well, thank you for answering the question. I see that people are responding in the chat that they are going to watch every single episode of Darknet Diaries now because of this. So yeah,
Yeah.
good luck with
Let's
watching.
get robot wizards questions out of the way. Cake or pie? I think I like cake much better. Spaces or tabs? I'm a tabs guy. And Vim or Vim? Of course Vim. There's no question. That's a nice simple question. Vim or Vim? Vim I got going. I learned in college because my professor said it's on every Unix computer ever. You don't ever have to worry about if your text editor is there or not. You just type VI and you're in. So I had to say, well, that's good enough for me if it's in every if it's in every Linux. And so I learned it, and I'm so glad I did because I still use it today. There's a couple things that I learned in college that I still use today all the time, and that's VI and Vim, and I also still know regular expressions, and I use that all the time. It's weird how decades can go by, and those two tools still are giving me quite a bit of value.
Well, thank you for answering those questions really fast, and yeah, really thank you. I see that someone is asking, Cyber, how dare you not give us early notice of this podcast? If you check my Twitter, yeah, you saw that this was the time that the podcast should start, podcast question answer session. So please do not blame it on me. Please spare me. Well, I think oh wait, there's one more question. Or yeah, what content creators do you follow?
Good question. I mean, I'll talk about podcasters, right? So I like thinking a lot. I like really challenging my thoughts on just my beliefs on everything. And so I will follow things like Sam Harris and Lex Friedman and listen to their podcasts and other philosophical ones, just because it's really fun to get my head out of where it is and say, wait a minute, are we living in a simulation? Like, is there any truth to this kind of thing? And I love like these philosophical things and talking about free will and religions and the world. So yeah, I like those two podcasts quite a bit right now.
Well, thank you for answering that question. And yeah, I think yeah, let's do. This is the really last question for the show, and then yeah, we have answered enough question, or you have answered enough questions. Do you have you considered organizing an event in the industry, like a hackathon or talk?
People recommend it. People suggest it. I thought about it, but I don't. I mean, there's so many. If you look at any given month, there's 3 or 4 events going on. So what would I do that isn't, I don't know, is special or different than those other 3? There's a B-sides going on every weekend, and this is non-pandemic times, right? So there's B-sides going on in every town. There's local conferences. There's big conferences. There's security conferences like crazy. So yeah, I mean, there's just enough out there that I don't see the need to run my own. What I would like to do one day is create a badge for DEF CON, and I would like to have it have like a little audio earpiece and have it play the show in my ear, in your ear. So that's what the badge does. But that to me is still like a big deal, just to make one badge, not even a whole conference. And
well, perhaps you can ask them friendly, like, hey, do you want to help me building this amazing DEF CON badge, Darknet Diaries?
I know. I do have people who are willing to help me. I've already talked to people, and they're like, yeah, let's get together and do it. So it's just a matter of doing it, and I still have a tough time figuring out what all the specs are and stuff.
Well, I think it's a nice idea, and yeah, I can't wait for it. Yeah, I also cannot wait for this coronavirus to be over, and we finally can go to conference physical, and finally meet people, see each other instead of seeing each other behind your screen. So yeah, I hope that will also be soon. Yeah, thank you for answering all those questions. There were a lot of questions from the people, so I hope I do not. Yeah, I hope you are still okay there, Mr. Spaghetti. And yeah, I want to say thanks to all the watchers, to all the viewers. I hope you all had an amazing time. At least I did. I hope Jack did too. And Yeah, to you, Jack, I want to say I don't know what time it is there where you are, but yeah, I wish you a great morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it
Yes.
is. And
I wish you a great day too. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity. And yeah, let's perhaps talk again after some couple of months to see how you are doing and how you are standing with the podcast. And yeah, so
All right.
everybody, thank you for watching, and I wish you all a great morning, afternoon, or evening, and see you all, yeah, the next time. So see you all.
Bye.